we're right about that, minute and a half out. So if you guys remember me, I'm Stephen Kellogg. I would have helped most of you, if not all of you, in register or enroll into the ELL endorsement program this past fall, cohort number 5 or 4. I think we just said 4, right, Michelle?
Yes, this is cohort 4.
Cohort 4. So I would have helped you this past fall kind of get that whole application process done. This time around, we're going to be talking about our Masters of Education program. So since you are completing the endorsement level at the graduate level, you will only need 5 other courses to complete the Masters of Education. So you're just 15 credits shy of finishing that degree. So if that is something you are interested in, that is something we can help you with. We can start the process now. So when you're done this summer, we can, get you going this fall. Or last year, the pandemic was really interesting and weird. So we had individuals start last summer because they weren't able to complete their practicum. So it's really just dependent on what you would choose and what like. But we do encourage individuals, because it's only 5 additional courses and they can be completed online, that if that is something you are interested in, we can help you go through that process. So our Masters of Education, it is in culturally responsive teaching leadership. So what that means, and I'm going to go to the next slide. So what that means, it's really based on improving individuals' leadership capacity inside the classroom and outside of the classroom. So you're more focused on mentoring and leadership, and in additional to the coursework. So those core requirements, like I said, you're taking care of that endorsement at the ELL level. So really just those 15 courses. The 5 courses that you need, I believe, are on. So who's it for? We'll go on to that next. Go back. Sorry. There we go. Who's it for? It's for classroom teachers who want to develop their school leadership skills. So I know individuals in the past who have gone through the Masters of Ed program after doing their ELL endorsement, who wanted to work more on the leadership capacity on their campus. So not necessarily be a principal, but more focus on an instructional coach, or they wanted to be more of a mentor to their younger teachers so that those skills they learned within their classrooms were really helpful for them. A lead teacher, a mentor, an instructional coach. They also just want to be a better school leader. So the courses that you're going to be going over are learning. One of them is education policy. So you get a greater understanding of what it really is of that maybe your superintendent is going through, what is going through the legislation right now, what are your principals going through. In addition, there is one course focused on, and Michelle, I might need your help. Is it mentoring and leadership and something rather in that space too? So focusing on really developing those individuals and what are the skills and tools to really help support those new teachers or those mentors, or be a lead teacher for a program. And then there's just 3 other courses, the main lead course, and then 2 other ones that I do not remember off the top of my head.
Here, I've got them, Stephen, I can tell you. So culturally responsive educational leadership, which like Stephen was talking about, that will help you with your leadership, within the classroom as a lead teacher, an instructional coach, a mentor, even, some lead roles within ESL. There's improving collaborative culture within your buildings. That's one. Another is empowering communication through education. And then there's a research and education course. And then there's an educational policy and law course. And so the policy and law course is kind of what Stephen was referencing about understanding a little bit better about what the district's leaders are sometimes saying when they're saying, well, the law says this, we have to do this. That kind of gives you a really good rundown of not just ESL law, obviously, but law about everything within the educational realm. So it's those 5 classes, and they basically run the same way as your classes do now.
Yep, entirely online, 8 weeks, asynchronous. We also have a graduate coordinator, Dr. Simone, who would be a great resource too if you're interested in learning more about those courses and getting more involved and kind of understanding that curriculum a little bit better. She would be the resource that I would connect you with. But if you choose to enroll into the Masters of Ed, Michelle would still be your academic advisor, kind of helping you get registered and kind of go through that process. So we kind of have some relationship and some clear, uniformity across the board. But truly, like I said, it's pretty streamlined, helping you do that process and why it's beneficial. Did you want to add something, Michelle? I can see you're muted.
No,
on.
I was just going to say,
Okay.
yeah, Simone Soderberg, as he said, is the person who runs the
Mhm.
actual ed program in the education department. And like he said, she can give you more details if you want to talk to her about details as far as those 5 classes go. Another thing that a lot of people want to discuss, and I can discuss it with them too, but I know she gives a little bit more detail, is a lot of people choose to do the 1 credit instructional coaching internship because they want to become an instructional coach. And so that's another choice. It's just 1 credit. It's pretty easy to do.
Mhm.
And so we've had quite a few people, choose to do that as
Yep.
well as those 5 courses, just so that they know that when they're done, they really have put themselves in a position, to get one of those leadership positions.
Yep. And that instructional coach internship, I believe, is 50 hours, that 1 credit class. And there's probably some additional coursework and content that will be needed while you're going through that course. I can also say we are in the process of working on a principal licensure for the state of Iowa. That has gone through some pretty rigorous curriculum development. We've gone some back and forth with the current BOEE, but that is something too. If you're thinking about that long term, this Masters of Ed will help you set up to kind of roll into that principal licensure if that's what you're wanting to do. But once again, that is not fully ready to be released, but that is something that I know our department is working pretty heavily on to be able to offer to individuals who are, once again, kind of in your place. You have 20 plus credits, only need a couple more for that Masters of Ed. What else can we do? What else can you tack on to be more prepared for your future? So the next thing I'm going to talk about is when. So as I talked about here, those courses, and there's only 5 courses and they're completed at the graduate level. If you were to start in the fall, you'll start off with culture responsive school leadership, and then they kind of go from there.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I've got the order if you would like.
Oh, yeah. If you would like the order,
Yeah,
Michelle.
if you would like the order. So session 1 is the culturally responsive educational leadership. And then session 2 is improving collaborative culture. Session 3 is empowering communication. Session 4 is research and ed. And then in the summer is always the ed policy and law. And that is a June-July course, those 2 months.
Mhm.
Hopefully that helps you plan out your year.
Yep. And the nice thing is too, like they're 8 weeks, so you're kind of already in that mindset. We like to tell students, if a master is in your end game and your end goal, if you're kind of going through that flow and your family's kind of on board and you're in that mindset, those 5 courses, will be not a breeze when it comes to the academic rigor, but staying involved and staying in that kind of that mindset. I don't know how about you guys, but I went back to grad school after 5 years, and it took me 2 semesters or 1.5 semesters just to kind of understand how to write again and how to, understand APA formatting, because it has changed over the last 5 years and so on. So I always encourage to kind of, stay on that track, stay involved. You will have some of the same faculty members, or you're going to get a little more diverse. Like you said, Dr. Soderberg, I know she teaches in the program. I'm not sure if Dr. Lindsay Groh does, but it will be a mix of faculty members. So bringing in that different perspective and kind of continuing that growth. So
yeah, we have a mix. We have Dr. Soderberg, as you said, and we have a mix of instructors who also work out in the field and have expertise in particular areas. For example, we have somebody who, has great expertise in policy and law that does that. So yeah, you'll have people who are, right among, as we say, out in the real world and among us, and teaching you what you want to know right now for being in schools.
Yep, for sure. The next thing we're going to talk about is why. So really, the why is kind of depending on what you're looking for. So are you considering administration, prefer to stay within your classroom for now? Would you like to become an instructional coach, mentor, leader, or teacher? Or would you like to acquire additional leadership and instructional coaching skills? And then lastly, That's why the culturally responsive leadership is a great option. So really, like, it could just be a pay raise too. I mean, we all know that the education system's all built on, MA plus so many, BA plus so many, and, moving up in that pay scale. I'm not sure what certain districts are, but it could change, things a couple, $1,000, couple hundred, I'm not sure, but that is definitely an option. And it could be something as simple as 5 extra, those 15 credits could really help kind of change that structure for you. Any questions right now, or what are some reasons why you guys would be thinking about changing,
Yeah, we have one question here that says, is it a thesis or non-thesis program? It is a non-thesis program.
Yep.
So yeah, there's not a big scary paper, as people like to call it, at the end. You do write and you do do some graduate level research for sure in the research of education class, and you do learn about some of those principles of that higher ed thinking, but you don't write a full thesis in that particular course.
Yep. Yeah, I was going to suggest there's probably a non-thesis option, but once again, writing at the academic or the graduate level, you guys are already doing in that ELL endorsement program. So that level of rigor involved in that's not going to be any different in those other 5 courses. It's going to be very similar. And then lastly, we're going to talk about is how to apply. So really the application process is pretty simple. It's really, you have to go back and complete the application. So what we're looking for is a statement of purpose, which is, as I would say, as EL endorsement. Most graduate, like for our other graduate students, we look for 2 to 3 pages. But if you guys are currently enrolled in endorsement, you could probably get away with just answering the questions in a page and a half, because you've already, proven yourself and your academic ability. The graduate committee is going to understand that. They're also looking for a resume, and then 2 letters of recommendations. That's kind of the streamlined process for applying. Now, we do offer what is called a Jacobson Scholarship here at Grandview, and it's for individuals who are enrolled in the Masters of Ed program. And what that is $1,000 per semester if you're enrolled in 2 courses. If you're enrolled in just one, it's $500 per semester. I could say that most every student who applies for that scholarship is granted that scholarship just because of the way the endowment was written. We kind of have some surplus funds to be able to award to students, and it's the only scholarship that we have available for our graduate program. That scholarship process is pretty easy, and it goes a long way. The way you qualify for the scholarships is you're nominated by a building administrator. So it could be a principal, it could be an instructional coach, it could be an associate principal, and they really just nominate you. And we review the criteria, we look at your GPA, and we kind of say yes or no. It's a fairly simple process. I could say pretty comfortably, if you are nominated or if you apply for the scholarship, there's a guarantee that you would, a pretty close guarantee that you would be awarded it. And that scholarship is good for, 2 years. So if you, kind of go that part-time track, you take 1 course, maybe every semester, you'd be granted that $500 every semester as long as you stay, I think it's above a 3.0 GPA, which you guys are probably all capable of, doing that, especially since you're already doing that graduate coursework.
Yeah, they are. And they also can keep in mind too, that with these being 8-week courses, it's possible to do 2 courses per semester, but never doing more than 1 at a time.
Yep.
So you do 2 in the fall, 2 in the spring, and the 1 in the summer, and you're done.
Yep, and you're done. 1
more year.
Yes.
So I like to think of it that way. That's why I tell people, I'm like, it's just 3 more semesters, 1 more year, just 5 courses. So that kind of helps, like, in our minds to make it seem a little bit easier, I think. And then the fact that, that we don't write a thesis, we do the writing and the research. And like Stephen says, you've been doing graduate level writing all along with us in the ESL program is key. But if you apply, definitely make sure to get your 2 recommendations, and definitely make sure to apply for that Jacobson Scholarship, because that helps a lot of people.
And then I would also say too, if you're maybe wanting to be done in a year, knowing that education policy and law class will be offered this summer, if you have finished your ELL endorsement or only have the practicum left, I mean, there's a good chance that you can enroll and take that additional course and only have fall and spring and be done, pretty streamlined if that's an option, because the courses do not need to be taken in a certain format or structure.
And I don't think most of you that will probably work, just because I think most of you still have ELL courses left to take beyond the practicum this summer.
Okay.
It worked for some people last summer because they were kind of COVID delayed.
Mm-hmm.
But this semester, you'll probably this summer finish your ELL courses that you still have. Some of you have a summer practicum, and then you have a couple of other courses, and some of you have 3 courses instead of having the practicum this summer. So you're pretty full.
Don't take on any more then.
Either way, no worries though, either way, because you can start in the fall and then
Yep.
do spring, summer, and be done. We have one other question
Yep.
here, which you will know the answer, Stephen.
Yes.
Because it's the question about how much the credits cost and how many 15 are total.
Yep. So the cost per credit is $437 per credit, I believe, starting next fall. And I could verify that and send that out. We will have an online fee, and then there's a technology fee that is applied, but those are the only costs associated with the program. So the cost per credit, the online fee, which is a per credit fee, and then the standard tuition, not the standard, but the standard IT fee, which is something that I didn't know about, but when I was in grad school, I was like, why am I paying double? And and what it comes down to is the Higher Learning Commission, which is the regional accrediting body for us, tells institutions if individuals are enrolled in graduate programs, they should be using your systems and your database, and you have to charge them something to prove that they have those resources available to them. So that is a basic understanding of you're going to be doing a lot of research, and that is why there is an additional technology fee kind of on top of that online fee.
Right. So to help with the math there, so if you have $437 for tuition, a credit times 15 is $6,555. But then you have to remember the $1,000 that's possible if you're taking, the 2 courses per semester, or the $500 possible for the one semester. So you have some help there. So that gives you an idea of how much help you get. And then too, I think it's important to keep in our minds, just for a total perspective, that you've gotten the whole grant for free as well. So if you can get your master's degree down to just that small amount there, that is really lucky. So,
Yes.
yeah.
And there are payment plan options that you can, if you do not want to take out loans, you are granted the scholarship. I mean, if you get if you go $1,000, so technically it'd be $2,500, because you would take 2 classes in the spring and 2 classes in the fall and only 1 class in the summer. I mean, you're taking care of about half or just over a third of that tuition that is required to finish out those 15 credits. So it's really affordable option if a master's degree is your ultimate goal long term. Other questions? If you're looking at getting started in the fall, you can start the application process as early as today and as late as a week before the semester starts. Now, I don't encourage individuals starting that late, because that it takes time for it to go through our graduate committee and takes time to get registered. But we have some flexibility, but I always encourage people, if you are in that mindset, the application process is the easy part. That Michelle is on top of it, getting registered, or getting you guys registered once you're admitted. Really just cranking out that statement of purpose. The other things tend to be pretty easy. We won't need official transcripts because we have them already, so that's streamlined. So really, just if this is your ultimate goal, first part, the first weekend that you get, kind of just crank it out and get it done with. So
you really should get it done for a couple of reasons. Number one, if you were at the beginning of this program and you were one of the people we were scrambling to get registered, that is not fun for anybody. Number two, these classes do tend to fill up these 5 classes never lack for a number of students. And so the sooner I get my students, I'm really, like he said, I'm really good about making sure my people get put in there. And later on, I'm like, oh, are those full for people? Sorry. But I make sure my folks get in there.
Yeah.
So if you get, the earlier you are, the more that we can guarantee that we can get you into those sections. The later you are, they very well may be full because we fill those up routinely every single semester. So,
Yep.
and even though, we have a little bit of leeway, sometimes we do have to say, sorry, they're full at a certain point. So.
Yep. And we do rolling admissions. So as you complete your application, we send those applications to the graduate committee to review, and they have decisions back to us within 10 days. So 7 days actually. So, I mean, it's a pretty quick turnaround. And once again, being enrolled in our ELL endorsement program, really it's kind of a rubber stamp to kind of go through that process, because they already know that you can handle the academic rigor, that you are going to be a good candidate for the program. If there was a way I could make this easier for all of our standalone endorsement individuals, I would, but there's this whole uniform policy that we have to follow as an institution. And once again, it's really just streamlining that process. And
but I would say if you can take a day or two, like he said, to get your application and your letters together, 3, whatever, however long it takes to do that, just a couple of days, and then get it in. Like he said, it takes them about 7 days to go through it. Then he gets a hold of us and says, hey, this person's admitted. And I go, hey, I know that person. Yes, that's one of mine. And so then I'll take and immediately start planning out the 5 classes, because it's pretty easy. We know when they're offered. And then I can start getting you registered. And, within like 10 days to 2 weeks, we can have it all taken care of.
Yep. And to hear back on the Jacobson Scholarship, once we get that nomination form, it goes to the nomination committee, and that's a pretty quick response back as well. We know within about a couple hours if that is accepted or denied. And like I said, I've been here just over 2.5 years, and in my time, I have not seen anyone, not be accepted for that, or approved for that, or awarded that scholarship. And mainly it's because we don't see a lot of individuals apply for that scholarship. It's the only one we offer at the graduate level, and it's only for Masters of Ed. So it helps that you guys are kind of in a niche program. And the scholarship is super helpful for a lot of people. Like I said, it cuts that tuition down about someone like roughly do the math, just over 4,000 left over. So a little more manageable.
Yeah, and keep in mind too, like Stephen said, if you are having, wondering, well, how am I going to make up the rest of it? There are payment plans. We can put you in contact with either the business office to make a payment plan, or we can put you in contact with a financial aid office to see about loans and those kinds of things. So, but again, the longer amount of time that you have to think about those things before the classes actually start and to get those sorted out, then the better. It just gives you more choices.